guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while. Trust me, I didn't die. I didn't move to another country. Nothing bad happened to me. I've just been busy. So why haven't I posted a video in close to 3 months? Life gets in the way. I'm sure there are people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean things haven't been happening. So the last time I posted a video was pretty much the end of Project Titan, as it was going to go on to greener pastures, which I assume was being parted out by the insurance company for a profit. But at that point, I kind of said I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And well, it turns out that, maybe that wasn't 100% true. So did I ever get a new truck? Well, if you've been watching this far, you probably know that I have, or at least I got something, right? So what did I get? Well, listen, I don't know how to break this to you. At least some of you. You are not probably going to be happy with me. It's not a Nissan. Yeah, I know. It's blasphemy. How dare I? But if anyone has tried to buy a vehicle in the current market, you know that it's not the easiest task in the world. Car prices are upside down. Availability is non-existent. So you kind of got to go with what you can get. And that's somewhat what happened to me. So what did I get? I didn't get a Nissan. What did I get? Well, maybe this will help. Okay, if you got that out of your system, let's try and calm down for a second. I know, I can't believe he went from Japanese to American. I know. Full disclosure, I used to own a Chrysler product. So it should be obvious by now what it is. But it might not be so obvious as to which one it is. Coming in a minute. I kind of fell into this deal. All right, it was one of those things where I've been searching for a vehicle online over and over and over, a little bit compulsive about things, and every waking moment I'm scouring over all the different dealer pages and things like that, and then this thing popped up. And before I even show you what it is, I will tell you that I wasn't sold from the start. It was the wrong color, not really one that I'm into. Ooh, it was a Chrysler product, Chrysler Fiat, Stellantis. Ugh. I didn't know much about them anymore, and I really did love my Nissan. But I gotta tell you what, guys, I just couldn't find one locally without having to drive a great distance or maybe even hop on a plane that fit the bill. I was looking at the Pro 4X. I wanted certain options on it, and I wanted lower mileage. I mean, the truck that I was replacing had 27,000 miles on it, and if I was starting over, I wanted it to have a lower set of miles on it because I plan on keeping it for the long haul. And I hopped on a dealer page and this thing popped up, so I went and took a look at it. And they told me how much they wanted for it, and I said, nah, I'm good, thanks, and I left. And it was New Year's Eve, 2021. They called me back and they said, hey, we're willing to make a little bit of a deal. And I'll expound upon that in a few minutes here and tell you exactly how this went down, because that is exactly what this video is about. It was about the car buying process in this current market. And, well, this is what I ended up with. Okay, well, there you have it. That's right, I pulled the pin, dropped the grenade, and walked away. 2021 Ram 1500 Rebel 5.7 Hemi E-Torque, four-wheel drive obviously, crew cab. You're gonna have to excuse the wind. Inflame red. Yeah, so that's what I meant by I didn't really like the color. All right. I think it's kind of ostentatious, but I went and I drove this thing and I kind of fell in love with it. With all the black on it against the red, I actually really liked it. And it kind of stuck in my head. It's got the Goodyear Duratrax on it. Take them or leave them. I'm not a big Goodyear fan. And already told you I bought this thing on New Year's Eve 2021. So December of 21. Had 11,000 miles on it. Guy that owned it traded it in on a 2021 or 2022 Ram TRX. So yeah, he traded up, but his loss is my gain. So why the hell would I do it? All right. A couple reasons. One, I loved the interior as well. I'll show that to you in a minute. And the guy had added a couple things to it. So very beginning of this video, you probably saw the cold start or heard the cold start. And what he added to that was a Borla Attack stainless steel exhaust on it. And at first I was like, man, that thing is loud. And it was. And it was a little too loud, but it sounded good, especially at wide open throttle. Doesn't really do much for power, so don't get that in your head. But I didn't have to buy that. That exhaust retails for like $1,200. Ended up buying a resonator kit from Borla that tones it down a little bit and cutting that into the pipe after the cats as directed. And that toned it down some, so at least I don't completely piss off my neighbors in the morning. And it doesn't really do much else other than just mellow out the sound a bit. He's also got some air helper springs on the back. This is the Cool Spring suspension, not the air ride that you can get from the factory. Didn't want that. Thought that was a little bit overkill. So you'll have to excuse, there's a car coming. But there are air helper springs on the back. You can see right here. There are two Schrader valves right on the side of the tag, and that's the first thing that popped out to me when I was looking at this thing over at the dealership. And just for a little bit of payload leveling. It really doesn't do much else. I think he was planning on towing a trailer, but honestly, he never did. This thing was pristine. Clean title history, everything was good. Now, what did I pay for it? Well, hold on to your hats. But not yet. I'll get to it. I know, that's probably what you're wondering. So what does it have in it? Well, Rebel specific leather interior. I'll talk about the option groups in a minute. It's cavernous in the back. That's what I loved about it. It's got even more room than my Nissan did. And then everything else. So it's got the 12-inch Uconnect infotainment system display. It took a little getting used to. It was a little bit bigger than I wanted, but it's pretty cool. It's kind of a gimmicky type thing. Welcome to the wonderful world of vehicles nowadays. But heated front seats, heated steering wheel. One thing that pissed me off is it did not come with a trailer brake controller. It's like $300 from the factory. Then you have to get it programmed after you install it. So I said, nope, I'll just use my Redarc Tow Pro Liberty that I took out of the old Nissan, got the right wiring harness for it, and we're good to go. So it works like a champ. Otherwise, you know what? Pretty standard. It's got all the Ram Rebel specific stuff. Definitely has a lot more bells and whistles than my old truck did. But it's comfortable as hell, and I gotta tell you, it drives a lot different than the Nissan did. It drives like a dream because of those cool springs. But yeah, well, that's the interior. So what have I added to it already? Well, my wife is shorter than I am, so I had to add the side steps. I hate them because of the ground clearance issues, but I added them anyway. One of these days I'm going to get some of those power folding ones, but just didn't want to drop $1,000. Other things, well, remember old Project Titan had the grill lights on it, and I just couldn't resist. So I added a set of grill lights. They're a little bit different, but you saw them in the video before. They work very well, actually. And they're just tied in through a relay system off of the marker lights. This thing is LED all the way around. So there's no incandescent bulbs on the outside of the vehicle. Other things that I added. You probably saw, you were an astute character, the bed rail system. So I just added that last weekend. It's a Mopar part, it was a couple $100. And I put that in for some cargo management, plus they make a bed divider, which I want to get. And then I also added a bed lighting system. Now, Mopar wants you to spend a couple $100 on the bed lighting system. and then probably another $100 just to get them to program the BCM to control it. So for myself, I hopped on the old Amazon, got some LED bed lights that were generic in function, and created my own system. Got my light switch over here. Everything's LED. Everything runs when the vehicle is off or on, and I did it for a fraction of the cost, probably about $50, if that. Already came with the spray-in bed liner. Tailgate, super light, easy to use, and obviously I had to add a bed cover to it. One of these days I'll get something that's a little bit more durable, but one with Rough Country, and got their trifold bed cover. It was $250. And wheel liners. What is it with manufacturer these days not building trucks with wheel liners like they used to? So this thing was wide open. You could see bottom of the bed, you could see the frame rail, so I went with Rough Country again and got the wheelhouse liners. Other than that, I really haven't done much else to it. Tinted the front windows, obviously, but there's more to come. I'll get to that at the end of the video because this is just the beginning. Okay, so there you have it. That's the new replacement. So she's got a name. Her name is Ruby. Why? Because she's red. Why else? Some wants to call it Carnage. Venom, Carnage. You get it? That's a little campy for me. But let's talk about the car buying process. So I told you, I went back and forth with these guys, and what did the truck cost? Well, sticker price was $56 and some change. That's what they were selling it for on the lot. I thought that to be a little bit much, but then honestly I started looking around at some comps, and this was the only one, I'm pointing to it again like you can see it, in the area that I could find. There wasn't one like it in a 125 mile radius, that, at least online. I'm sure there one did exist, but I couldn't find it. So they actually were selling it for a pretty fair price. The original sticker on this, when it was bought back in March of 2021, so a year ago now, that's when it was sold, was it was actually $59,000. $59,000. This truck stickers now in a 2022 for over $60,000. Exactly as it's optioned right now. You can put more options on it. Right now it's got the level 2 equipment group on it, which has got, you know, all the bells and whistles that I already talked about, but you can get other things. You can get a panoramic sunroof. This does not have blind spot monitoring, but it does have forward collision warning and automatic braking, so it does have some safety features on it. You could get it in a diesel, which will cost you more. You could get a host of other options that I didn't end up getting because I didn't really need, or at least, guess what, it also didn't come on the truck. So over $56,000 is what they were selling it for. Might say that's expensive, and it is, but I was able to get them down to about 55 and some change. So they did come down a little bit, and I'll be honest, it wasn't much. It was about $750 that I ultimately ended up getting off of the truck. And it's still certified pre-owned, so warranty's extended out to 7 or 8 years, something like that. And that was one of the allures behind buying it, is that the low mileage in combination with what the warranty now was, because it was certified pre-owned. So ended up pulling the trigger. Put down almost $19,500 on it. So again, I made out pretty well on the Nissan. Just added some money into it, and yeah, I put a heck of a lot of money down, way more than 20% on that truck. So I did pretty well on it. It does cost me a little bit more than what the Nissan did, but I'm in the $500 and some a month range. I was at like $480 on the Nissan. So all in all, I'm really not feeling the difference, and my insurance went down because of some of the safety features on it. The other truck didn't have backup sensors or parking sensors in the front. Didn't have either of those. This has both. Again, it's got the automatic braking and forward collision warning. So my insurance went down. Power-wise, I really loved the Nissan engine, but the 5.7 liter Hemi is okay too. All right, it's not bad. They're comparable on power, only a little bit different. Torque is about the same. They're within 5 horsepower of each other on the horsepower ratings. This one's 395. The eTorque system, which is a mild hybrid system, it's taken some getting used to. It doesn't really add to any power, but it's supposed to help with the fuel mileage. I'll tell you this much. The fuel mileage on this truck, because it's an off-road package with heavy tires, it's got a 392 rear end in it, so it can tow almost 12,000 pounds. but that 392 rear end eats into my fuel mileage. It revs a couple hundred RPM higher, but the low end torque is more available to you. It's got a locker in it, so electronic rear locking differential. I took this thing out. We went out on a trip to Delaware, to the beaches in January. And of course, what happened? It dumped 18 inches of snow on the coast. I was the only one that could get around anywhere. Put it into four-wheel drive and then activated the locker. 18 inches of snow didn't even slow this thing down, so I had a hell of a time. It was a good time breaking it in. But yeah, it comes at a cost. So I'm averaging about 17 miles to the gallon. But the buying process, guys, if you're in the market right now, hold off if you can. I bought this because I had the money and I really wanted it, and kind of fell in love with it. But the market's not going to change. Everything that I've looked at and I was trying to hold out, looks like we're in this for the long haul, between the lack of availability of new vehicles coming into the used market and used market being what it is. We're looking at this till the end of the year at least, if not into 2023 maybe. So used car prices aren't going to come down from what I can tell. I could be wrong. I'm no analyst. I am no forecaster of trends, but just what I'm seeing right now tells me it's already March. I've had this thing for a little over 2 months, and they're still going for about the same if you can find one. So yeah, that's where we're at. Now, the guys were nice. I bought this at Len Stoller in Westminster, Maryland, so I bought it out of state. I don't live in Maryland, I live in Pennsylvania, but I drive through there. And they were great. They did a good job. They weren't hard to work with. They were fair. They were upfront. I know a little thing or two about buying cars. My father used to be in the car business, so I know when to walk away. It's kind of like that thing: know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So there was no way I was going to buy something I wasn't ready to buy. And this is it. So my wife hates it. You know why? Because it's loud. It actually isn't. The exhaust is great. On the road, you really can't tell it's there until you actually get into it. But like I said, in the mornings, my neighbors know it's there, so I kind of creep it out of the driveway on the way to work. I only drive it once or twice a week. Fuel prices are crazy right now. Not going to get into that, but they're crazy. You know it. So I drive the beater to work most of the time. But she's not a big fan of it just because she liked the Nissan, and so did I. So listen, let me say this. I'm sorry. I am sorry I traded up to, or traded down for some of you, to a American truck. Good news is I can find a lot more parts for it. So, but I do miss my Nissan, guys. No two ways about it. I loved that thing. But this is something new. This is something different. Had that, now I'm moving on to this. What's in store for that? Well, the sky's the limit, but so's money. You know. I don't need to do rims and tires. I'm pretty happy with what's on there. They're about the same size, 18-inch rims versus 20s that I had ended up buying on the Nissan and putting on there. But diameter-wise, they're 33s. But guess what? I just don't like the stance. So I did the leveling kit on the Nissan, which was from ReadyLift. It was an SST with the top bonnet spacer. You've seen the videos, or maybe you haven't. I'd check it out if I were you, because it's a pretty good video, I think. It's also one of the first ones I did. But kind of going higher class on this one. So, well, I probably should just show you. So, this is an upper control arm. I know. Rough Country forged aluminum upper control arm for the 2019 to 2022 Ram 1500. This is good for a 3 to 3.5 inch lift. Well, leveling kit's 2 inches, and I'm not going to be using a leveling kit. What I'm going to be using are the Bilstein 5100 ride adjustable shocks. And so you can adjust the ride height. There's a snap clip on it and the bottom of the spring perch, and depending on how you set up, you can get up to 2 inches or so of lift in the front end. But what it doesn't change is that suspension articulation. So instead of having that much more on the top of the strut, the whole strut's actually lifted and travel remains the same. So you actually get more travel out of it. And this truck already came with a Bilstein suspension package on it. So it's got upgraded sway bars and crap like that, but it also sits an inch higher than a four-wheel drive Ram that you would get that is a limited or Big Country or anything like that. Big Country, yeah, whatever. Anyway, it sits higher. So that in combination with the level, going to give me about 3 inches, which is why these control arms are money. So not only is it going to give me the correct ball joint angle, they are really, really nice. And much nicer than the factory control arms. Factory control arms are actually just a stamped steel cover over top of a polymer control arm. And so you stress that too much, you're going to rip the ball joint right out of it. So that's coming to the channel soon. So I got the Bilstein 5100s. I think the ones that are on it are like a 4000 series. They're tuned for kind of in the middle somewhere. The 5100s are close to that, but ride adjustable, zinc plated. So you'll see all that when they arrive in a couple days. The struts haven't arrived yet. And I played hell getting them because they're on back order everywhere, but I found them. So I'm gonna make a video out of that, but we'll level up the front end, and then eventually we'll also replace the rear shocks with another set of 5100s just to round out the package and make it match. So there's more to come as things come available. There's a lot of other things I want to do to it, and it already has a lot of things done to it. So that's kind of the caveat there, right? I don't have to spend as much money, but I spent a lot more money on the truck. To end it off, when I bought the Nissan, it was $32,500. That's what I actually negotiated. $32,500, it had 17,000 miles on it. Obviously, in my previous video, you saw I got upwards of $40-some thousand for it from the insurance company, so I did pretty well. Spent $55 and some change plus tax, tags, all those other things on the truck that I just bought, so a significant investment up from that. But guess what, guys? Sometimes you only live once. It's actually not true. You always only live once. So why not? Why not pamper yourself if you can afford it? If you can't, I get it. Been there, done that. I'm at a stage in my life I can. Stay tuned. There's more to come on the channel. It's getting towards swimming season, so we'll probably be doing some swimming content for the pool. Patio projects coming up and some outdoor stuff. I can't wait. I'm tired of the winter. I'm ready for it to be over. If you've stuck with me this long, good on you. Thank you, as always. More content to come, and I look forward to talking to you soon. We'll see you later.